Now, you're in Uxbridge. You were campaigning to effectively unseat Boris Johnson and in favour of the Labour candidate there called Ali Milani. Now, I just want to ask you about some tweets that the Labour candidate sent back in 2012 and 2013. He tweeted that Israel has no right to exist. He called Piers Morgan a Zionist, and he wrote, "It will cost you £1, #Jew." Why are you supporting someone who said those things?
Well, quite rightly, he's apologised for those tweets and those tweets that are disgraceful that he did when he was a teenager. He's been on a programme of learning since then. He, in fact, went to Auschwitz to learn more about where prejudice comes from and where prejudice against the Jewish community can lead. So he sent those messages, those tweets as a teenager. They were wrong. He's fully apologised for them, and I'm looking forward to supporting him today, because if we're going to tackle racism, we have got to accept and we've got to push education for people. In our society as a whole, unfortunately, there are lots of racist views held. In recent decades, our society has improved in that way, but there's a long way to go as well. So what we can't do is demonise somebody for unacceptable, disgraceful tweets as a teenager. What we've got to do is encourage them to go on an education process and think again about how the world works, how prejudice works, how racism works. And I'm really glad that Ali Milani did that so comprehensively.
You know, I understand what you're saying, that he sent the tweets when he was a teenager, that he's tried to reach out to the Jewish community since. But at the same time, when Labour is trying to dampen down accusations that it is not taking anti-Semitism seriously, surely you can find candidates in high-profile seats who haven't made offensive comments about Jewish people in the past.
I don't think he should be prevented from being a Labour candidate because of tweets that he's apologised for that he sent when he was a teenager. I'm sure that there's plenty of things that Boris Johnson did as a teenager which, if you applied that rule, would rule him out from being Prime Minister. In fact, there's plenty of things that Boris Johnson has said and written more recently, including whilst he was an MP, including whilst he was Mayor of London, including whilst he's in the running to become Prime Minister, which actually render him unacceptable and unsuitable to become Prime Minister.
OK, well, let's move on, shall we? Because I want to ask you about a member of your Shadow Justice team, Gloria De Piero, who has said this week that she's not going to be standing for the Labour Party at the next election. And she said, she quoted, "A lack of tolerance for different viewpoints in the Labour Party, frankly, worries me. We have to have respect for each other, even if we disagree, because we're all part of this party." Does the lack of tolerance worry you as well?
I'd encourage you probably haven't had a chance, I'd encourage you to read Gloria's full speech. She announced her decision to her local Labour Party a few days ago that she's going to be standing down as an MP at the next general election, standing down from the Justice team. In her speech, which is well worth reading as part of your research for this interview,
I have
well
read
worth
the
newspapers. Oh, you've read the speech. So
yeah.
What did it say about... what did it say about myself and Jeremy Corbyn and working in the team together, then, as an example?
Well, she was talking about how she's enjoyed working for you, and she also praised Jeremy Corbyn. But she was what I'm asking you about specifically. What I'm asking you about specifically is the lack of tolerance of different viewpoints in the Labour Party.
What she said in the speech, which you've obviously read, there was a paragraph where she says in the speech that Richard, she said, campaigned for Jeremy Corbyn in the leadership election. She, Gloria, campaigned for Liz Kendall in that leadership election. Yet we've worked together really well on important issues for access to justice and enjoyed it over the last 2 years. And that's an example to people in the Labour Party. So I don't think, and I know she feels this as well, by the way, she feels that her speech and her explanation to her members has been mischievously misrepresented by the press. And she's tweeted out that about it herself. So don't just take my word for it. See what she's put on Twitter as well.
I understand that. I mean, she also said in the speech, as you say, that she's voted for Labour leaders who have never won, from Margaret Beckett all the way through to Owen Smith, for example. But she also did say in the speech about the lack of tolerance for different viewpoints.
Well, a speech is very long. It's interesting that you're interested in one particular sentence in it. But what I would say is my focus is I'm sad that the Parliamentary Labour Party will be losing at the next general election such an effective and energetic member of Parliament who always speaks up for the area that she represents. And I agree I agree, as John McDonnell, Jeremy and others have always agreed, the Labour Party is a broad church. It's a coalition of socialists, social democrats, trade unionists and other progressives, and long may it continue to be that. So I very much agree that in no political party, particularly a political party with over 500,000 members, do we expect everybody to agree on every single issue. Look, I campaigned for Tony Blair, I campaigned for Gordon Brown, for Ed Miliband. I was proud to campaign for all those Labour leaders and, of course, Jeremy Corbyn. So I think we are a broad church, and long may we remain so. In her speech, which is well worth reading as part of your research for this interview, and well worth the newspapers. Oh, you've read the speech. So
yeah.
what did it say about... what did it say about myself and Jeremy Corbyn and working in the team together, then, as an example?
Well, she was talking about how she's enjoyed working for you, and she also praised Jeremy Corbyn.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again, because a vision softly creeping